My name is Akshay Singh, and today I, along with my teammate Keshav Yadav, will be giving you a demonstration of SQL-IO. SQL-IO is a performance testing tool designed for testing the I/O capabilities of hard disks. So let's start with the demonstration. This is the website from which you can download the SQL-IO tool. Just search for SQL-IO in Google and open the first link. You can download it from the official Microsoft website. It's a tool by Microsoft, and you can see in the details that it's just the file size is just 231 KB, so and it's a free tool, so you should not have any problems downloading it. While searching for this tool, don't get confused with SQL-IO Sim. That is a different tool with a slightly different purpose. And since we have already downloaded this, we'll just proceed with the installation from where we have downloaded it. Now, the installation procedure is very straightforward. Just click next. Uh, uh, Click on I agree. Read this if you want to. Select the path and click on everyone. And even if you click just me, it's all fine. It won't cause any problems. Click on next. Next. It will take barely a few seconds. It should be over at any moment now. It has been successfully installed. Let's see the directory where we installed it. Mm, yeah, you can see the folder has been created and all the relevant files are here. Now you can see, open the readme file, and on the screen in front of you, you can see all the options with the SQL-IO command that you can use. We'll be showing you how to use most of the options today. For example, the first one we'll be seeing is the K option, which will allow you to choose either the read or write option. The T option allows you to specify the number of threads. You can specify the test run with the number of the number of seconds for which the test will run with the option S, and so on. We'll be showing you most of these options today. Other files that are created is the default parameter file, where you can specify the parameters for the option. We'll be seeing that later in the demonstration. Um, Now let us start. Open up command prompt, run it with administrator privileges. Now navigate to the directory where SQL-IO has been installed. You can see that we have navigated to the correct directory. Now before we start using this tool, uh, remember that even though the name of this tool is SQL-IO, you can use it for any testing any hard disk of any server or any computer, even one that is not running an SQL server. It has got nothing to do with SQL server itself. For example, my computer, the one on which I'm showing you the demonstration right now, it does not store an SQL server, but still I can use this tool. So even though the name is SQL, don't get confused by it. Uh, Now before running this tool, we need to create a test file using Windows PowerShell. Um, and even if we don't create the test file, SQL-IO generally creates the file by itself, but you won't be able to view it properly. You won't be able to see where the file has been created. So we'll use Windows PowerShell to create the test file. Windows PowerShell is a utility available in every Windows installation, 7, 8, 8.1, even in XP. So just we'll navigate to C and create the file using this command. Uh, Here you specify the name of the file. and inside the bracket we need to create a 100 MB file. So we'll specify that. You can specify 1 GB, 1 TB file, whatever you want, depending on your needs. For demonstration purposes, we are using a 100 MB file. It has been created right now. Uh, Here you can see this is the file that we created, and the size is 100 MB. You can see it here. Now we'll copy this file in the SQL IO directory itself, so we don't need to specify the entire path every time. Now the same test file has been copied here, so you can use Windows PowerShell to create this file. And for demonstration purposes, we are creating a 100 MB file, but keep in mind that 100 MB is almost nothing when compared to the file sizes that servers usually have to work with. So if you're using this to test your server, you need to give a higher file size to test it properly, at least 2 GB, 4 GB minimum. So there's that. Let's close this now. We don't need this anymore. Now, uh, inside the first command, we'll run this for 10 seconds while testing the write operation. Mm, uh, you can see it is right using one thread and writing for 10 seconds to the file test file.dat. Now the test is over, and you can see the IOs per second, which is normally known as IOPS in the computing world. You can see that this is the IOPS and this is the throughput. So these are the two main uh, benchmarks which people see first when they see the performance of a hard disk. Now let's test the write option. You can use either the read or write option with this command. Uh, the IOPS and the throughput has changed, although not by a large amount. If you increase the parameters, they may change by a much greater degree. And now remember that we are running the test for 10 seconds or 15 seconds at most. But if you are really testing your hard drive, you should run it for a much higher amounts of time, because we are giving a tutorial. We can't run it for that much higher amount of time, so we are keeping it down to 10 seconds or 15 seconds. But if you're using this to test your hard drive, run it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour at least. Okay, now uh, you can see that by default it is using one thread uh, to write and read from the files. You can specify the thread number of threads using the T option that we saw earlier in this readme file, using this option. We'll be seeing that now. uh, the order of the options does not matter, so we'll just keep it here. Let's keep it 4. Now see the 4 threads. uh, the number of threads has increased, leading to an increased number of IOs per second. Since the number of threads has not increased by a much greater amount, but once we reach a limit, the bottleneck, so to speak, if you keep on increasing the number of threads beyond that amount, the IOPS and throughput will start to decrease drastically. Uh, and now we'll be testing some other options as well. Mm, you should be knowing about the sequential and random access from the hard disk. So if sequential access, the blocks are accessed in a sequential manner, and in random access the blocks can be stored anywhere on the hard disk. So even that can be specified using the F option. So we'll specify that. Mm, Now see with the random access, the IOPS and the throughput has decreased. uh, and now let's try it with the sequential access. See with the sequential access you can see a marked difference in terms of throughput and IOPS than random access. Sequential access allows you to access the files that much faster, uh, but it leads to implementation problems, so you have to weigh the pros and cons. Now another thing that this tool allows us to check is the latency from the system. So this time we'll also see how much latency the system gives us, and the lower the latency the faster the response. Now this is the latency that we get. The minimum latency is 0 and so is the average, even though the maximum latency is 120. So even though the maximum is 120, the minimum average is still 0, because it is a very rare case in which you get a latency of 120. Now if you keep increasing the number of threads beyond a certain point, if you increase the block size, if you increase the uh, number of IOs, latency will increase. Now till now we have kept the numbers very low, so that's why the latency is so low, but latency does tend to increase with increased parameters. Let's see with the random access what latency we get. See now with the random access you have got an average latency of 21 compared to an average latency of 0 while using sequential access. And again, uh, I'll keep I'll keep repeating this because this is very important. If you increase the parameters to to real world approximations, this difference will also increase. Now let's try out some other options as well. We have seen F, we have seen S. Now which one? Yeah. Now another important option is O, which allows us to specify the number of outstanding processes per thread. For each thread, uh, the number of outstanding processes that we specify will be kept. There is some default value. I'm not aware what the default values, but let's start with O8. So now there will be 8 outstanding processes per thread. Now see the average latency is again much higher than before, because the number of outstanding processes per thread was probably 1 or maybe 2. Now I've increased it to 8. So obviously the latency is going to increase, and both the IOPS and the throughput has decreased. Uh, and if you increase the number of threads, this effect will be compounded, because for each thread you are specifying the O option, the number of outstanding threads. So let's try increasing this to 16. Now see again, the average latency and the maximum latency is now much higher than before. Uh, so this is how we use the O option. We'll be seeing the other options as well soon enough. Let's try increasing the O to a much larger amount and see what happens. Let's give it 256. I think this is the maximum value that is supported by this tool. I'm not sure. sometimes for much extreme cases, even though the test duration is 10 seconds, it is not able to complete it in that time because what is specified was much higher. Now, because of the extremely high number of outstanding processes, you can see the huge difference in this. And throughput is less than 1 now. It is less than 0.5. Mm, uh, so we should keep O down to a more manageable number like 8. And now let's try the same thing with the threads. This this type of testing is how you determine the boundaries of a system. At what point, at what number of threads or at what number of outstanding processes per thread will your system start to fail? Till what point can your system give a reliable performance? Now the latency is even higher than before. I know it's not that high, but it's still much higher than the ones that we were getting before, like in the hundreds. Now we're getting it in thousands because of the much higher thread count.
Hello friends, this is Keshav Yadav. Till now you have seen the basic functionalities of SQL IO as given by my friend. I'll be continuing with the demonstration of the same tool. So here we go. Hello friends, let us see a few more features which are available for SQL IO. Let us go to the readme file. I'll be giving the demo on -b feature, which is basically the basically used to vary the input output block size in kilobytes. Let us see how it works. I'm specifying the block size as 32 initially, 32 KB for 10 seconds. On test file.dat. Let us run this command for 10 seconds and observe what is the output. As we can see here, it is using 32 KB random IOs. Depending upon the system configuration, sometimes it takes more than 10 seconds to execute. Yeah, as we can see now, average latency is 353 milliseconds and maximum latency is 1050 milliseconds. Now let us try varying the block size. Let us make it to 128 kilobytes. 128, and let us run this command for again for 10 seconds and observe what the output we get. Yes, as we can observe now, the average latency on increasing the block size, average latency earlier was 353 milliseconds. It now increased to 464 milliseconds, and even the maximum latency was 1050 milliseconds. Now it has increased to 1219 milliseconds. So what we can infer from this is, on increasing the block size, the average and maximum latency of the system also increases correspondingly. So depending on the bandwidth that is available to us from the server, we can vary the block size according to a system configuration. Next feature what we will be using is the -i feature, which basically indicates the number of IOs per IO run. So let us try that out. We'll keep the block size again as 32. which is ideal for most of the systems. And now let us include the I part. Give us 32 again. Using 32 KB random inputs and again running for 10 seconds. The test file we are using the same test file that is used in the earlier previous part explained by my friend, 100 MB file. Yes, now we can see on giving the I as number of input involved in the test, we gave it as 32 and the average latency was 277 and maximum latency was 1011. Now let us try increasing the I part in this experiment. We'll make this as 128 now and observe what is the output we get now. Yeah, here we get the output. Earlier, specifying the number of IOs as 32, the average latency was 277 and the maximum latency was 1011 milliseconds. Increasing it to 128 IOs, as the number of IOs increased, we can clearly observe the average latency also increased to 370, which is much more than the previous one, and the maximum latency also increased to 1436 milliseconds. So now we'll see the till now we have given the all the parameters in the command itself. We can use a parameter file also to specify the following things. Now let us try how to do that. I'll tell you how to use a parameter file in this case. We have a fparam.txt file in the folder itself, which will be running using the administrator because the normal user does not have the access to modify it. We'll be opening the parameter file here. Yeah, the 2 here specifies the threads and 0x0 specifies the affinity mask here. So we'll be running this file, giving the same file as the parameter. And you can create your own parameter file also. We are using the same file whatever we use for the other tests. That's the same file, testfile.dat. So the same file we are using here now. We'll try running that. See, we get the error. We have not specified the files using the frandom or fsequential option. This is a must. This option is a must to use the parameter file. We need to use fsequential or frandom. I'll be using the frandom one. Here we include the frandom option. And now we run the same thing. See, now the initialization is done and we'll see the output. Yeah, here we can see the number of threads that we have specified is 8 threads, but inside the parameter file what we have specified is the number of threads is 2. So in execution we can see that only 2 threads are running. What this means is whatever the parameters that you specify in your parameter file, that overrides your initialized parameters that you give in the command. So all the parameters given in the parameter text file, clearly replace the parameters in the command, and the number of threads that is executed is 2 threads. Now we'll try to vary. We'll make 16 threads. We'll save the file, and now we'll run the same command again and see what happens. Here we can see the number of threads in spite of specifying as total number of threads as 8 in the command, 16 threads are running because we modified in the parameter file recently. So this is the way we can use parameter file by overwriting the initialized parameters in the command itself. Yeah, here we get the output. So average latency is 95 by using 16 threads, and maximum latency is 1417 by using 16 threads. Another feature to use in SQL IO is to use a batch file to execute many number of commands at a time and to store the output in a result.txt file. We can create any text file to store the output. This feature is basically used in larger servers where the people execute many commands to analyze the system performance over a wide range of values or over a very great amount of time. So for that we've already created two files. One is out.bat, which is a batch file, and result.txt, which is a text file which stores the output of batch file after execution. I'll show you the contents of out.batch file, which stores the command that we want to execute. Remember to create both the batch file and the result file using administrative privileges, because normal users do not have the access to modify them. As we can see in the batch file, we executed two commands, sqlio the first command and using frandom feature, and the next command is using fsequential feature. We want to execute both these commands and store their output in the result.txt file. So this is how we do it. Out greater than symbol and the name of the file where we want to store the result, and press enter. We are executing two commands, both of them for 10 seconds each, so it will take around 20 seconds to execute both the commands. As we can see in the result file after execution, the result of both the commands is stored here. This is the result of the first command using frandom feature, and the output of the next command using fsequential feature is here. So this was an overview of basic commands that we can use in SQL IO. There are many more commands which are there in the readme.txt file, as you can see, which you can try out. So thank you for watching.